Hello, welcome to the Brand Bravery podcast. I'm Amy Purdie, the Brand Explorer, and I am here to help inspire you to bravely overcome your challenges on your business journey by hearing how others overcome theirs, pushing forward and taking the next step, whatever that needs to be at the time.
It's a brand new adventure for your business journey.
Good branding really matters. So what happens when you don't have good branding? The first thing we need to establish, of course, is what a good brand actually is. So a good brand is recognised, it's memorable, it's easy to use, it stands out, it creates confidence, and most of all, it is a guide that gives you clarity to help you to get to where you are going. So if you are not recognised, then people aren't going to know where you are. If you aren't memorable, you're going to blend in. If your brand is not easy to use, then it's going to be too faffy. You're not going to really feel like you can be bothered. It's going to take too much time, which means you're not going to be consistent. A good brand creates confidence. So if you are not creating confidence in your brand for yourself, you're going to find it harder to implement if you're not confident in using your brand. And for your audience, they're going to have a lack of trust in you because they're not going to see that you have clarity on what your brand is in the first place. And if you don't stand out, you're not going to get noticed. And if your brand lacks that clarity and does not have direction, then you are going to find it so much harder to get to wherever it is that you might maybe think you want to go, if you even have an idea in the first place. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. So a brand that does not do those things is going to have less impact. You are not going to be known, like people are not going to know who you are. So therefore you're going to have fewer customers and you are going to make less money. So if you do not have a good brand, that is quite a big impact on your business. Your brand is something that you can implement in every single piece of your business, every single part of it. It isn't just about having a lovely logo or knowing what your colours are. Those things are really important, but they're just a very small piece of what your brand actually is. So if we're talking about implementing your brand in all the places, then we're talking, of course, about social media. We're talking about on your website. We're talking about when you communicate with people, either through spoken word or through written word. We're talking about the videos you make. We're talking about the delivery of the service that you provide. We're talking about how you communicate with people. We're talking about how you make people feel in your business. So how do people feel when they leave your yoga class? How do people feel when they turn up on their Zoom call to receive some coaching from you? What is it that you are doing to help them understand your brand and feel you running through it, feel your brand running through your business in every aspect that they encounter, so that you can keep your brand being really strong and create more of an impact. Your brand is about creating that impression that you want people to have for your business in every single place, which means really thinking very hard about what it's like for your customers before they become customers, while they are working with you, and afterwards as well, to make sure that they're getting the right impression coming through to them from whatever it is that you're doing at whatever point we are talking about in that moment. Your brand needs to stand out, and that's so that people notice you, so they know who you are, so they remember who you are. If your brand isn't standing out, then you're just going to sort of blend into the background. You're not going to be somebody, you're not going to be a business that people notice, that people see, that people remember. So it's really important to figure out what makes you different. So this piece is about differentiation. It's about doing a competitor analysis and figuring out what it is that makes you unique, and there will be something. So it could be that you're differentiating yourself in terms of who it is that you can help and how you can help them. So you might be a menopause expert or a health expert, or you might help people to feel calm, or you might help people to remove pain or get rid of stress or discover how to be confident. There's so many different things, and you will know what your thing is that you specifically help people with, and that is a really great way to differentiate what your business is. but there might be other ways as well. So you might have something else that gives you the edge that your competitors do not do. You might offer a certain thing at one point that they don't do. Then you might have like an extra half an hour of time to get to know your customer, for example, or you might give them something to take away with them that your competitors are not doing, or you might have a specific modality that really helps someone that again your competitors are not using, and that gives you the edge because you've got this extra thing. Or maybe you have more experience, or you provide something different about what you do that is brilliant, that is different. It's a well worth it difference that you can use to show people why you are the right fit for them. And that helps you to stand out, because then you're not blending in to everybody else who does the same thing that you do, because you know who you work for, you know how you help them, and you know how you do it in a slightly different way to somebody else. And those things are really important. When your brand is not strong, when you haven't thought about these things, then you aren't going to be doing them intentionally. It is possible that you are doing at least some of these things automatically without thinking, because they all they flow through your veins of who you are as a person. But if you're going to do it intentionally, then that's going to make the impact stronger. It's going to make you more memorable, and it's going to make it much easier for you to stick to the plan as well. And then it's also about trust. So if you've got a really good brand, then people are going to trust you. If they don't trust you, then it means that you have not tried hard enough through what you're doing to help them to trust you. And this happens in person, it happens online, it happens in the way that other people talk about you. So trust is something that you need to figure out how you are going to show people that you are really brilliant at what you do, and that they can trust you to deliver on that and give them the results they're hoping for. So this is about thinking about how you are credible. What is it about you that makes you the right person for them? And that could be that instead of sharing just like nice quotes that other people have written, or oh, I've had a nice cup of tea today sort of posts, and there is a place for all of those things. I'm not saying don't do those, but it's really easy to just post content that isn't really considered, when it's really important to post stuff that is going to show you as an authority. And that's much harder to do without thinking. So it's much harder to sit there and think, oh right, I need to share this testimonial, I need to show this proof that what I've done is the right thing, I need to show this statistic that shows that what I'm doing and what I'm helping people with is something that they want to care about. Those are the kind of things that are going to help elevate your business to a level where people go, oh yeah, this person really knows what they're talking about, they're really getting results, and I'm going to really trust them with what I need next. So being trusted is really important. And if you don't have that, if you're not doing those things in your business anyway, then your brand is not going to have as much credibility. And again, going back to my earlier point, you'll have fewer customers and less income. So I have this thing called the 5 R's. So the first R is repetition. And this is about being consistent. So this is where you have your brand message and you have your brand visuals and you use them over and over and over again. It isn't saying I'm going to post every day at 5 o'clock. It's not that kind of repetition. It's a repetition in terms of what you are saying, how you are saying it, how you are delivering it, how you are getting that out there. It's more of the how rather than the when. So that consistency is about showing up the same way, in the same places, with the same message over and over, so that people get it, so that it clicks. And also because if you keep doing that and you keep having that message, and you don't change it, they're going to really know what you're all about. So that part there about differentiating, they're going to have that stuck in their minds. They're going to know what it is about you that makes you special. And if you start changing that message, then they're going to be like, oh, I was following this person and their brand sounded really great, but now it looks like they've gone in a slightly different angle and I was ready and now I think I need somebody else. And it's just about making sure that you maintain that, so that when the people are ready, they know where to go and they can trust that you're going to be the right person. So repetition is really important. And if you continue to be repetitive with your brand, then people are going to start to recognize you, which is obviously a good thing. You want them to recognize you. You want them to be on their phones, scrolling through Instagram or whatever and go, oh, I've seen a post by this person, I'm going to have a look because the last time I saw a post by them, it was really good. Or recognizing maybe a banner at a show where you're at, or seeing your name as a workshop contender, person who's delivering a workshop, and thinking, oh yes, I recognise their name, I'm going to have a look and see what the workshop is about and I'm going to come along. So if you're being repetitive and making sure that you're getting yourself out there enough in the right way, then they're going to start to recognise you, and then they'll start paying attention to what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're writing on your website or on your social media or in your journals, whatever it is that you're writing, and they're going to start to resonate with that because you have some amazing reason why you started doing what you're doing and why you are now delivering that thing to people to help them with their problems. And that story is going to resonate with people who also need this. They might see themselves in that story, and that is going to be hugely beneficial to you and to your business. So if you can keep being repetitive so they see it and so that they recognise you, then they'll pay more attention and they will resonate with your brand. And that leads to them remembering who you are. So it's not just a case of, oh, I recognise that person. It's remembering you. So when they need something or when somebody else needs something, they will refer you. Because if they can remember who you are, they're going to be able to refer you. And it might be a referral themselves where they come along and they buy your thing, or it might be a referral to somebody else who says, oh, I really need this, or I'm really struggling with this problem. And they'll go, this is who you need. So the 5 R's are really, really useful. So be repetitive. You will be recognised. They will resonate with your stuff. They will remember who you are, and you will get referrals. And this needs to happen everywhere. At no point should you be adding different things into your brand that are not really carefully thought through. I mean, sometimes we do need to add things in, but they need to be really thought through and really carefully considered. So it's about, you've got this brand and it's really strong. And if you imagine, you get a glass of that juice that you can dilute, and you put that juice in the bottom, and that is the really strong concentrated juice in the bottom of the glass. And that is like the solid juice, and it's really awesome. But the more water you add, the more diluted that juice becomes, and the taste becomes a lot less strong. Now obviously with juice you really want that because it would be disgusting. But when it comes to your brand, you don't want to be diluting that down with more and more water and making your brand less strong because you decided to add in another colour that means they don't recognise you online anymore, or because you've thought of a different idea that takes your brand off in a different direction, which means that they're not going to resonate with your content because you're talking about something completely different, or you're copycatting. And so you can look at other people's content and things that they're doing and use it as inspiration. Of course you can, but you can't copycat. And sometimes you see an idea and you think, oh, that might work really well for my business. You really need to check that it does and that it will, and if it will align with your strategy, because otherwise you're going to be pouring more water into that brand and diluting it even more so that you are becoming less memorable. You're standing out even less. So it's really important to keep your brand really strong, not keeping adding things to it so that people don't recognise who you are. And the other thing as well is, if you have a really good brand, you can charge more. And that's because you're doing all this work to help you stand out, to help you be trusted, to help you be remembered, to help you be recognised. And if you're doing all of that, then there's going to be more value in your brand. People are going to see you as being reliable because you are doing the same things over and over. You're showing up again and again and again, showing people what you do, and that's going to help them see that you are reliable, you are trustworthy, and they're going to see, a perceived amount of value attached to that, of how reliable you are, and that is really valuable. And that means you can charge more for what you do because you are an expert in it. They can see that and they can trust you. You're standing out, you're showing up and showing how and why and who you are above all those other people doing similar things. And that's brilliant. That's really brilliant for you. So that is an added bonus that you don't get if you don't have a really good brand. Because if you don't have a really good brand, people are not going to trust you. They're not going to see your value. They're not going to recognise you or remember you or understand who you are or what you're about or who you help or why you help them or what you help them with in a specific way. They're just going to see some blur of random things that comes out and spits out all over the place and doesn't really speak to them. It doesn't get in their minds through repetition. That's how important repetition is, that consistency with your brand. It's all about making key decisions and then sticking to them. And then after that, your brand is really, really easy to run. It just needs some thought put into it at the beginning to make that work. And that's how you get a good brand. So The other thing as well is that if you have a good brand, then your brand is all about the goals that you are hoping to achieve in your business. So you might have a mission or a vision or a purpose. You might have goals that are financial or charitable or all kinds of different things that you can have goals for. And if you know what those goals are, then you can reach them, you can work towards them, you can get to where you want to be. And that really helps as well, because if you are working towards those things, then you're going to bring other people on that journey, and you're going to be able to talk about how you want to get to where you want to get in a way that really works and aligns with those goals and helps you to power through and get to where you want to be. So that is really important. So if you want a brand that is going to help you reach your goals, that is going to help your business to be successful, that is going to be remembered, is going to be trusted, that is going to stand out, then you really need to get a good brand, which, like I just said, involves making some key decisions and sticking to them. If you would like a hand with that, I am right here. I have space for brand adventurers open right now. So if you need some help with your strategy and your visuals, let me know and we can have a chat.